Okay, ladies and gentlemen with big, tight, strong and hard legs who run in the woods and collect mushrooms. This is the Ganoderma mushroom, the one that has the spores and that looks like the chocolate powder on top. It grows on the base of trees or on the side of trees that are wet or decaying from the wetness. This mushroom is in the same family as the Lingzhi, the Chinese name, and the Reishi, the Japanese name. This type of mushroom grows in all parts of the world where there are trees that are wet and decaying. This mushroom is also farmed. It has all kind of medicinal properties, all kind of antibacterial, anti-cancer, anti-aging properties. This is a younger one, and this is a middle-aged one. The specialty of this one is that I collected it from the olive tree that was wetted in the park. They did use water to feed the tree, and because of that it started growing mushrooms because it was too wet. And this video is about cooking this mushroom. The inside is kind of a sponge, and the below is a nice flat area which is white when you collect it, and on top is a very hard and smooth, a little bit smooth, not so smooth, leathery area. It's a very hard mushroom to eat, very hard to digest, and this is why you need how to learn how to cook it. Let's do that. What you see in here is the first step of cooking. Many people say you cannot dissolve the nutrients from this mushroom in water, and you cannot use it just by watering it in cold water. They say you have to cook it. No, those people are wrong because they have no experience and because they're probably not good with cooking. The way you do it, you can collect the spores, you can use the spores also for cooking. You heat them up mildly in oil, and they release the oil from the spores, and then you filter the spores with a coffee filter or paper, and then you can use the oil for cooking, or you drink it or you eat it. In this case I already removed the spores. They have a nice taste in the oil, but I'm not fond of eating spores, so I washed it and soaked it overnight. This mushroom is like a sponge. Inside is a sponge and outside is a leathery area, which is difficult to cook and difficult to digest. But we can trick the mushroom, and we can put the water into the sponge by pressing it a little bit in the water, and then we can wash out the nutrients by manual squeezing, like you squeeze the sponge. Just take a cup, it's full of water, and then you just squeeze out the nutrients because it's like a sponge. Works out very well. This is the first step. You can soak it for 1 or 2 days, maybe 3, and then it starts kind of to degrade the protein that is inside. It has very strong antioxidant and anti-aging and anti-rotting and all kind of properties, so it's a very durable mushroom. You can marinate it, you can cook it. Frying is not so good, but soaking it in water for a day or 2 and then squeezing out the nutrients is a good thing. It's the only way to cook it cold. And after that we are gonna use the heat. It's a multi-stage meal, it's a multi-stage food. First you remove the nutrients and the antioxidants and the minerals and all kind of stuff from inside. You remove it in this process by squeezing out manually by pressure, just like you would use the sugar cane. In case you cook the sugar cane or juice, you squeeze out the juice. Same with this mushroom, same thing. So first you try to squeeze out all the good parts that are dissolvable in cold water, and then you do the cooking. This mushroom has a very good taste. It has a mushroomy taste, kind of a soy sauce, a bit bitter, but very likable mushroom taste. It's like soy sauce without the salt, a very healthy one. And just for the demonstration, you squeeze in the water, release the air. Just for the demonstration how much is in there. I already did this process for a day, so not much comes out at this stage, which means I finished this step of squeezing out everything I can squeeze out with cold water, and now it kind of starts to be clear. When you first do it, the water is brown or dark. Now it starts to become light. Like this one, I didn't squeeze out the small one. You can see how it is from the small one. Yeah, you see it's darker. Fill out the sponge with water. Yes, at first it's dark, and when it starts to be light, and then you can proceed to the cooking with heat. Let's have a drink. Yes, the same mushroomy taste, which is very nice. Very mildly bitter because it's mixed with water, and it starts to lose the taste a little bit because I squeezed almost anything I could with the cold pressing. And now let's proceed to fermenting and cooking with heat. Okay, smart ladies and smart gentlemen, I have cut the Ganoderma mushroom in thin slices of 4 to 5 millimeters, so that it's easy to handle and remove the nutrients or spread the flavor into the rest of the food. The texture is very hard. It's a little bit like leather. Even after soaking for 2 days. So you see on top is the skin where a lot of preservatives are, the good natural ones, and inside there is some flesh of the mushrooms, and on the bottom is another layer of the skin. So now we have the multiple options to cook this. The Japanese and the Chinese, they say you have to boil it for 3 hours. Not sure, I don't have time for 3 hours and I don't want to waste energy and fuel. We can be more smarter than this. We have got a pressure cooker. I'm gonna show you this, like the half I'm gonna cook in a pressure cooker. Just for the water. So the flavor is gonna be a little bit intense with this much. Usually you cook a few slices, just like 4 or 5 or 3 slices. The Chinese and the Japanese people, they cook the soups with it. They're gonna use it for the flavor. So first you flavor the water. They say you flavor the water for 3 hours. You try to remove the nutrients and the flavor from the flesh and from the skin, which is like leather. And then you add in chicken or vegetables, other herbs or fruits if it's a fruit-based soup. As I'm just gonna break down the hard shell, hard skin, which is the same type of protein that the insects use in their body. It's very durable. It's a very tough organic material. It's water permeable, so it soaks up water very well. This is why you can squeeze out the nutrients by squeezing with water. So let's try this, maybe one more. Yes. Yes, let's start the fire, let's build up the pressure. Break down the hard shell of the mushroom so that all the flavor and all the nutrients are released into the water, and so that the mushroom is more digestible. Let's do that. It's gonna be fun. This type of mushroom cooks very well in the pressure cooker. Much better than boiling for 3 hours and waiting and waiting and waiting. Okay, tight ladies and brave gentlemen who run in the woods for hunting of the mushrooms. I did cook the Ganoderma, Lingzhi or the Reishi mushroom in the pressure cooker. I cooked it once, pressurized it once, and then I was cleaning the dishes, pressurized it the second time with a little bit more heat, and then I made a sandwich and I pressurized it the third time and then waited until the pressure subsided, and now it's a drink, it's a liquid. Now it has a different taste, like a mushroom soup or a little bit more bitter. It's definitely squeezed a lot of materials, a lot of good things out of the mushroom, but it also spoiled the taste of the raw one. The raw Ganoderma mushroom, it has this umami, meaty, very nice mushroom flavor, and the cooked one has a little bit less. So the traditional Chinese ones, they cook it, and the Japanese, they cook it, but if you blend it or if you cut it and then you cold press it in cold water, it has a much better taste. Like, it's still not edible, it's still fleshy like leather, like soft wood or like soft leather that's boiled in water, but it's definitely broke down a lot of substance, and the protein of the skin on top, it kind of got boiled and is now stiffer. You can see on the texture, now it's like rubber. It's a bit softer, way softer. So now I have the flavor of the Ganoderma mushroom in the water. It's kind of turned a little bit more herbal and more bitter. The umami flavor is almost gone. So in case you want to cook very nice food with it, you ferment it in cold, or you cold press it or cold blend it, and then after that you filter out the solid parts from the water, and then you can use it as a very nice flavor, umami flavor enhancer for salad or cooked meals. In this case, I'm just gonna go use the substances that are in the water after boiling. And the Chinese people, they would usually just put the chicken and other herbs and other vegetables into it and then cook it. In this case, I'm gonna use a little bit more advanced technique. I'm gonna use chickpea beans to enhance the flavor with the mushroom. It still has this a little bit mushroom flavor, but it turned bitter after cooking, which is probably the bitterness from the skin of the mushroom, not from the flesh itself. It's nice. If you add sugar to it, it's almost like a herbal dessert, which the Chinese people do. They add sugar, the mushroom, the herbs, the barks, the clove, And after they make jelly beans. After it's cold, they soak the jelly beans and it's also eaten. In this case, I'm just gonna use it as a flavor enhancer of the chickpeas. Let's do that. Now comes the fun part. People say you cannot cook this mushroom without heat. Yes, you can. Once you advance to a higher level of cooking skills, you can. In this case, we are gonna marinate it and break down the walls of the fiber, of the strong fiber walls of this mushroom with acid. The idea is to have an external stomach which is gonna digest it for you, and then later on the good stuff is gonna be released into the acid and into the vegetables. I have prepared onions, garlic and a mix of spices for that, and we are gonna use the acid of lemon acid, which you can buy the artificial one for 50 cents, and a little bit of vinegar, the red grape vinegar. The people in the northern Europe and in Russia, they use a lot of vinegar to ferment mushrooms. Not so good. You better use the lemon concentrate, which can be artificial. That's good enough, cheaper. You can also use the natural lemon if you have excess lemon, if you have an access to excessive lemon deposits. For the acid of the lemon is gonna break down the protein of the fiber and the fiber of the mushroom, so that the good stuff comes out. The vinegar has a different type of acid, so it's gonna break differently. It's gonna take a week maybe or two. The curry, the curcuma, is gonna also break down the proteins maybe to some degree, and I did add a little bit of wasabi, very little bit, because if you add too much it's gonna spoil the flavor. The wasabi, it clogs the proteins very well, it kind of wraps them around. The chili is gonna break down a little bit too, and just for the flavor. Some herbs, very mild herbs for the flavor, and clove for fun. There's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4 acids from the onion, from the garlic, from lemon, from grape vinegar, and spices gonna wrap and clog and mix up the proteins of the walls, and it's gonna be breaking down in no time. So it's kind of marinated and fermented for a week or two, and it's gonna release the flavor into the acid and into the onion, and then later on you can eat the onion and have the nice flavor. And you can also use the marinated mushrooms, the marinated Ganoderma, Reishi or Lingzhi mushroom, for adding to the soup, to flavor, to mildly fry it on oil, to add it to any food as a flavor, or you can chew on it, it's gonna be soft. Okay, let's put them in the slices. Usually the people in northern Europe and northern Asia just go to the woods, to these large woods that are the largest woods on earth, collect mushrooms and marinate them like that. Cold water, a little bit of acid. And the Mexican people, they do the same, but without the mushroom. They do marinate the onion in chili and lemon concentrate. Usually they marinate the red onion so it has a red taste, and they put them in tacos. but the acid of the lemon and the acid from the onion, they can break down proteins very well. So you can put ham into it if you want. You can also put an egg, boiled egg, or let's do a little bit of vinegar, maybe a little bit less vinegar, so it doesn't dominate the taste. Too much vinegar is kind of acidic. Too much lemon juice is okay. Lemon juice is more fun to use in salads, so that later on I can use the mushroom flavored onions in the salad. Yes, much more of the lemon concentrate. And the vinegar is actually not so healthy if you marinate everything in the vinegar. Lemon concentrate is okay, more vitamin C. The vinegar forms a crystal, and over time it can be bad for the acidity in the body and for the formation of the stones in the bladder. Okay, that's about it. I can add some more onions on top just to press it down a little bit so it's in the center. That's about it for marinating. Okay, hungry ladies and gentlemen, 24 hours after the cooking, this is the result with chickpeas and mushrooms in the pressure cooker. And then I let it stay in the water for 24 hours, and then you can see there is some fat on top of the water. The interesting thing, I didn't add any fat. So the fat comes from the chickpeas or from the mushroom or from the pressure cooker, in case there was some fat inside on the walls. It's interesting, this mushroom has fat. Or and now let's try the water, how it tastes. The water tastes delicious. It's like herbal beef soup, which you would not expect. So what happened is that the chickpeas, they have a lot of protein, more protein than the meat, 21%, and meat had like 16 or 18 sometimes, or less if it's a fatty meat. Some parts of the mushroom are a little bit bitter, and the protein of the chickpeas, it helps to suck up, dilute the bitterness over time. So within 24 hours it managed to suck out the bitterness, and now it's just the mushroom taste, the beefy, very beefy taste. The water, it tastes like beef soup, but there is no meat. Interesting. Let's try the chickpeas. The chickpeas, they taste like chickpeas, with very mild. There is something mild to them, not sure why. Yeah, the chickpeas, they taste like chickpeas, regular chickpeas. Let's try the mushroom, which is inedible, people say. But as you can see, you can use this Ganoderma mushroom, the Reishi mushroom, the Lingzhi mushroom. You can use it as a flavor enhancer. In this case, it added the beef taste to the vegetable prepared. Okay, let's try it. Nope. Still tastes like wood, with the texture of wood and leather. Let's try the upper skin. No. Still tastes like leather. But it's not bitter anymore, so the chickpeas, the protein, it managed to suck up the bitterness, and now just this blissful beef taste and mushroom. Smells a little bit like the mushroom, Now it smells more herbal. I wonder where the fat came from. There's like a little bit of fat on top of the water. Interesting. Okay, I hope it was helpful. Now you have learned how to cook with an supposedly inedible mushroom. You can use it as a flavor enhancer in soup, in fermented foods, and you can cold press it as a drink. As a cold pressed drink, it's superior to the cooked one. So you should try that. You could try also to blend it or to cold press. Have fun making your own, and it's also like an adventure to find this mushroom in the park or in the forest. It grows anywhere in the world. The Ganoderma mushroom. Look it up on Wikipedia and have fun searching for it in the woods, or you can also buy it in the Chinese or Asian supermarkets. They sell the slices of it. The Chinese call it Lingzhi or Lingzhi. Okay, have fun, stay safe. Thank you for supporting the Creative Commons movement. An elevator like a museum. Museum elevator. All manual. Oh, manual elevator. Base, prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop and call your mother. And no smoking. Oh, exits from both sides.